Hey there guys, this is Obsidian Chill. I've got another video for you today. I'll get to why the the title of the video is as it is. In the meantime, I hope you guys like the new intro. That was something that I played around with over my holiday break. But yeah, I'll get to the point. Obviously, you can tell from the title of the video, I'm no longer a member of Odyssey, and I'm going to go into detail of why I left them, just to kind of let you guys know. It's just going to be me in the background, so if you want, you can minimize the video and just listen to me talk if you'd like. But yeah, let's get into it. Odyssey's changed a lot since when I first joined. I think the majority of it was with the T5 release. T5 actually presented a challenge and really split the league when it was first released. You couldn't hide behind anything. Your faults and lack of skill would shine through, and you had numerous players that wanted to be in that 8 group, that wanted to be in that first group, and it wasn't so much based on taking your best players. It was basically whichever person created the group would dictate who would fill the spots. Over the course of my time at Odyssey, I don't think my commitment will ever be questioned. It never faltered. When T5 was released, I was on pretty much 24 hours a day grinding marks. And when I would raid, I'd even book days off work so that I could be in a better position to help out the raid. A lot of I viewed as T5 in regards to Odyssey was, well, we're Odyssey, so whatever way we do it counts, and everything else is just exploiting. Now, obviously, the One Piece situation was the first kind of friction, at least on the forums, in regards to like One Piece versus Odyssey. That was exploiting, but obviously this isn't here to talk about that. This is in regards to how we did it in pillar tanking, but I'll get into that more in a bit. Odyssey was always, it was fairly evident that Odyssey wanted to be the first to achieve the Epic Odyssey feat, because it was a feat named after them by developers. Obviously that was a huge honor to have developers of a game for millions of people name something after, you know, a small part of that in the league that worked closely. Odyssey's always been associated with challenging feats. The community in regards to Odyssey in the past was, even with the initial release of T5, it was, well, we'll wait till Odyssey beats it to see how they did it, or people would ask what was Odyssey's time, you know, etc. So there was a lot of internal friction caused by the Epic Odyssey feat. That competitive spark wasn't there. The Nexus was more of a focus, or doing the same couple of tunnels left open, instead of saying, like, you know, let's just go for it. On the USPC, we had a race pretty much between FAMI, Iconics, and the newly formed VVV. We weren't concerned with Odyssey because at that point it was more inter-server, not like being PC first. And since I was in both leagues' attempts, I could see whom was closer to the feat. We were running our unique setup of the 3 trolls, 3 DPS, and practicing our pillar tanking, where Odyssey refused to run either setups, because I'm not actually sure why. Like, even though I come off as like really opinionated and aggressive on the forums, it's not how I act in like actual talking to people or in raids. Obviously, you know, I'm still opinionated. I still speak my mind, but I'm not looking to cause tons of fights because that doesn't help anyone. At least not in like TeamSpeak. On the forums, or, you know, writing stuff out, you can carry on those types of conversations, but it doesn't really have a place for it in actual voice communication. Yeah, Odyssey refused to run either setups because I'm not actually sure why. Maybe it was the stubbornness, or not being able to see the benefits, or they didn't think it was needed. When FAMI and VVV got the Epic Odyssey, it wasn't viewed as a defeat for Odyssey. They viewed it as an exploit because we created pillar tanking. It was usually Odyssey that created these strategies to make the content easier and to think outside the box. So at least I saw it as, well, because Odyssey didn't come up with pillar tanking, it's an exploit, and you really didn't get the feat. Then when Odyssey did finally complete Epic Odyssey without pillar tanking, they viewed it as, oh, we're the first league to legitly beat Paradox, and they worded it as, we did it the intended way. Well, I took exception to that because I knew it wasn't about pillar tanking. It was about not being the first PC league to do it, and I had plenty of conversations on the forums about the subject. If Odyssey had come up with pillar tanking and done it the feat first, there wouldn't have been any issue. But because they didn't, they called exploit. I found myself disagreeing with a lot of Odyssey's opinions as of late, like pillar tanking, their stance on phase dodge, their opinions of weapon balancing, and because I was an Odyssey member, I'm not allowed to disagree with them, at least publicly. I would normally be forced to keep it all to private conversations, but I'm not that type of person. It was said on the forums, so that's where I hold my conversations. And a lot of why I'm leaving isn't so much to do with anything in game, it has a lot to do with what goes on outside. Odyssey is like an Ivy League school. It's how they view themselves, and every other league is attending community college. So it's beneath them to get involved in a lot of situations like forum, server drama, whatever, because they're Harvard. What business do they have talking to lower schools? You could completely drag Odyssey's reputation through the mud or say whatever you wanted about them, and we are told to say nothing because it looks bad on the league if you respond. Well, naturally, I'll do nothing of the sort. I'm not that type of personality. As it's pretty obviously, I'm very opinionated and have something to say about everything, and I doubt anyone would disagree with that. And I wanted to carry on a conversation with whoever on the forums, I would repeatedly get slaps on the wrist. Odyssey cares more about how they're perceived from the adolescents watching their videos or reading posts than who is actually right or wrong. There are plenty of conversations held behind my back for a long time about how I carried myself on the forums or how I would have open discussions with other league members on the forums. Odyssey wants it all sealed tight and kept internal, so that it gives off some notion that they're the perfect model for a league. Now, there's some members in Odyssey that think they're great players because they're in an Odyssey, or they've been in Odyssey for a long time. If some of the veterans or well-known members of the Odyssey hierarchy went through and reapplied to the league using Odyssey's current application process, they would be rejected, which is what I find kind of funny. Most people believe that the foundation of Odyssey is this really skillful league that can do anything or beat any league, where in fact it's just a small majority of truly skillful players by this game's definition. Now, I don't want it to seem like I'm hating on Odyssey and its members, because I'm not. There's some members that I personally don't care for, but that's not the point of this video. On the other side of things, being in league for over a year and a half, you do get to establish great friendships. And if I was ever traveling through Europe, I would definitely make the effort to stop by. And if I was in the area for a beer, to hang out, whatever. And I'll let you know who those are, ones that really, meant a lot to me in Odyssey. Not to sound, weird or whatever, but, it is what it is. First, we have Cold Fusion. He's a great guy, really exemplifies what Odyssey wants from a member. He's really competitive, skillful at his position, great personality during a raid and outside of it. Next, we have Darkbat. I can honestly say my tune on the UPC wouldn't be where it's at without Darkbat. Even though I have extremely developed main tune, it's just from playing the game for a long time. I'm not a grinder. I don't like the grindy feats or farming exobits. So a lot of my early days in Odyssey, I was just DPSing in Amazon gear. I think I had like 65 skill points at the time, and I would still find success against the best DPS in Odyssey. Dartback helped me with whatever I would need, whether it be forming feat runs or sending me mods or money, etc. Darkback completely stays clear of any drama and doesn't get in any fights. He does everything he needs to do to help out and is completely unselfish. If you play on the UPC, you can't go wrong with him as a friend, and he's a really chill guy in real life too. Next we have Crowd Control, but you guys probably know him as Illusion. Illusion from the start when I joined was that player that provided that competitive atmosphere for me. He's a very skilled player, always pushes you to do better while keeping it fun, like personality wise. He's playing on the USPC now. He's even playing on the PS4 servers. It's always fun to talk strategies and power sets with him, and in pretty much every raid I've ever done with Odyssey, he's been a part of it in some role or another on an alt. And he's a fun guy to be around too in TeamSpeak or chats or whatever. Last but not least is a member you probably don't know. It's Project Angel. He's a great controller. He's a guy that you definitely want to share a beer with. He's the type of guy that will really get under your skin, but in a good way. And the jokes will always be flying when he's in TeamSpeak. But he's also a competitive person and buckles down when he needs to. If I ever made it down to the UK, for sure, it'd be the Hangover UK edition with the two of us. I think Odyssey's lost a lot of its competitive spirit. There's a lot of leagues that have rose to the challenge on the PC server, like FAMI, Iconics, VVV. On the EUPC, you have Damage Inc. and individuals. And instead of meeting those challenges head on, like with the Prime Battleground speed feats with Key and individuals back in the day, it's more of a complaining game in regards to raids, and instead they're focusing on other endeavors. Odyssey's ultimate goal is to raise their status to a point where they are mentioned in the same breath as DCU Universe Online. So when people are talking about DCUO, whether it be players or the development team, it's DCUO and Odyssey. This is why they go to such extremes to protect their reputation, and are perfectly fine with just completely ignoring most situations, which is something I won't do. You'll see this a lot more in the near future with the renewed push on their YouTube, their Twitter, Facebook, and all other types of social media. They're launching a new website. That is the direction they're taking now, which I do applaud. There's certainly no other leagues trying to take those steps that Odyssey's taking, and I truly do wish them all the best in their future endeavors. But what is being sacrificed now is that competitive atmosphere. Now, you may wonder how this is going to impact me and what you guys watch here on my channel. Well, nothing's going to change in regards to who I am, my personality, content. FAMI's emerged as a PvE powerhouse with T5. There was no challenge that we couldn't do, and we were the leader most of the way. We were the ones that set the pace, and we've always been around the PvP scene. And with the new season starting soon, we intend to be still doing PvE. When the new DLC comes out, we'll have those operations uploaded and beaten on the first night. All that really is going to change is you probably won't see me much on the UPC at all, if you're some of my subscribers and friends there. I hadn't really been as active as late because my work schedule makes it difficult because of the 5-hour time difference. Yeah, if there's any Odyssey members watching this that take offense to something I've said here, I'm not going to say I'm sorry, because I'm not. It's my opinion and I stand by it. I have nothing but the respect for Odyssey, and they'll remain a major part of my life in regards to how I view my career with DCU. Yeah, this is just a little informative video for you guys. I'd like to keep you guys up to date. But yeah, look forward to the new videos back. I'm back from vacation now, and I hope you guys take care and had a good New Year. See you guys.